Hello guys, we are back with round 9, the final round here. We just saw some amazing Charizard action. One of the new, certainly one of the most interesting decks to come out of the new tag team set. And yeah, now we will be seeing in the 9th round Benjamin Pham playing a Zoroark deck, if I'm not mistaken.
He does like his Zoroark. He's like a die-hard Zoroark fan, almost as much as you are, I think, right?
Yeah, we've been playing it for a long time against a player whose name is too complicated to pronounce.
Vanoverschelde.
Joshua Vanoverschelde.
There we go.
Okay, there we go. I will try to not say this too often. Let's just call him Josh.
So both players on a winning in again. We're trying to feature as many winning ins as we can.
Yeah.
There's no guarantee this is going to be as exciting as Charizard last round.
Yeah,
and
but
a load of eggs earlier on. We've had some weird stuff.
Honestly, Zoroark is always exciting. I couldn't wish for anything better. And yeah, both players are at 16 points, so they need a win here. So I hope for a quick pace of play and an interesting matchup, hopefully.
Yeah, both players have played well all day to get the 5-2-1.
Yeah.
And these rounds, these late rounds, the day is a long one as a player. So to get to the point where you have one more game and it's the biggest game of the day,
yeah,
it's so hard. And then we go, oh yeah, you're on stream.
It's not only you want to win quickly, you want to be
you
over
want
it.
to get some food.
You want to get some food, you want to get some rest. And as far as I know, Benji started to stay like with a 1-1 record or something similar, so pretty poor record, but he made it all the way back to his win and in, and they are starting already. We see a Zoroark on Benjamin's side, and on the right side, the good old Zapdos deck.
I tell you what, Zapdos has been popular today.
It certainly is, was, and is. We see the Zapdos in the active, we see a Tapu Koko Prism Star in the prizes, a Jirachi, something psychic. I'm not entirely sure what it is. I guess it's a Nihilego.
I assume so.
Yeah, it's a bit glared. It's getting late. The glare gets worse because there's no other light than our special lighting. But yeah, it will probably be a Nihilego.
And straight away, it's like we've seen this before. I'm getting a strong sense of deja vu every time someone goes, Decimal Jirachi.
Just testament to how consistent these decks are. Playing all these ball outs, playing all these Jirachis, and consistently getting out these Jirachis early on, and yeah.
It's like, I'm just going to Nespal for Zapdos. Or maybe he might go for the Blitzel here.
Yeah, Blitzel is a popular choice. He's going for another Jirachi, which makes sense as well. Those Jirachis tend to get knocked out by Zoroark players just to disrupt your opponent a little bit early on, and there's nothing like the Ultra Necrozma that could punish it.
Well, it's actually really exciting because I know both of these players will know this matchup.
Yeah, also, actually, we see in Benji's prizes the unit energy, so he seems to be playing a Zoroark Lycanroc with Weavile. So the Jirachi might get punished after all, because it's another ability, of course, and that means more damage for Weavile.
Actually, so walking around the room today, I've heard a lot of stories about things like Weavile doing an awful lot of damage because suddenly everybody's playing a lot more abilities. Like there was a period where everyone was, then Weavile happened, and then people stopped, and then they came back again. So it's kind of especially because they're just bench-sitting abilities. They're not going anywhere. They're just there to take some knockout.
Benji seems to have picked up on that and tried to counter the meta accordingly.
Benji is extremely good at that.
Yeah, he's always very creative with his decks. He was one of the first players to ever put Lucky Helmet into Gyarados, if people remember that. And in my opinion, this was a genius meta break. It pushed Gyarados into tier 1 from being like a tier 3 deck and made it very competitively viable. And Benji has put up very many other creative decks. He was part of creating Zoropod with Tort before UIC. So yeah, I'm excited to see Benji.
The deck last week, Stefan did.
Oh
Benji
yeah,
was also involved with that.
Exactly, yes. It was a suggestion Stefan got from Benji originally. So yeah, he's a very experienced player, very creative, likes to adapt and counter the meta game. And yeah, I'm curious to see if he just went back to a standard Zoroark Lycanroc Weavile variant, or if he put in any spicy tags. Maybe we will see something like Venanu we haven't seen all day to get out the Alolan Muk consistently. Maybe he will.
So I was actually checking to him earlier on. I believe he said he's playing a 2-2 Alolan Muk.
Oh my god.
He's like, no, we're mucking, boys.
You already see an Alolan Grimer in his prizes, I think. Yeah, it's a Alolan Grimer.
Yeah.
So
this one could take a knockout on the Jirachis if they're asleep.
Yes.
Which is actually surprisingly useful because it just means you can knock them out kind of easily.
Yeah. And you can get them back with Nanu. So it's quite nice to have a Darkness Alolan Grimer. And yeah, Benji's getting a top Lele going for Lily, so he is playing the Lily engine as well, as most Zoroark players are these days.
Yeah, it seems to be the general consensus is, whilst Alm is great occasionally, sometimes you just need to draw.
And discarding 2 choice band, of course, an easy discard in this matchup.
Josh was like, yep, I know that.
Probably won't need those, I agree.
And we get a
and
Ditto.
He's getting a Ditto.
And this is his first proper deck search where he's going to go... oh no, he searched for the Lele as well, but he's going to search go... hang on.
It's interesting to see him go for the Prism Stars. I mentioned some players prefer to put down a Alolan Grimer and Ditto at the same time, just to make sure one of them survives the next turn. But of course, we see an Alolan Grimer on Benji's prize, so I'm not sure if he really plays more than one, and he's maybe thinking like, okay, let's just get it into play as soon as possible, hoping my opponent is on a clock, right? He has to have Guzma right now, so otherwise he won't be able to.
Surprisingly relevant Ram. Stampede for 20. Every little bit of damage can count in these matchups because it means that that's one less Pokemon to bench before using a Rider's Beating to take a knockout. It just makes life a little bit easier.
I think that's the first time I see a Zorua attack with Stampede. Stampede? I
It's
don't even know
Ram,
how to
right?
pronounce it.
It's normally...
That's how little I know of this
Yeah,
attack.
Stampede. There you go.
Stampede, okay, yeah.
Normally it would be Ram if people are having to attack with Zorua.
But yeah, he only has 1 energy. And yeah, there we see the Guzma already from Joshua, bringing up this Ditto. These Dittos really have a tough life these days.
Yeah, you're just trying to evolve, right? Your whole life is, I just want to evolve into something bigger.
And Joshua's like, slap, away with his Ditto.
I like the way he was like, Thunderous Assault, go away.
Yes. And back to Benji. He unfortunately only got 1 Zora into play. This is the downside of those Lily engines. You don't know what you will get. Sometimes you get amazing starts, sometimes you only get 1 Zora and pray it survives.
So straight away the first trade, getting rid of the Alolan Muck. He's probably playing a couple of copies of
he will
Stretchers.
play Rescue Stretcher. Every Zork deck plays Rescue Stretcher.
So,
it's just every deck basically. I don't know if I know any deck that doesn't play it because it's just such an amazing versatile card.
He can always go grab it back later on. He does need to get to the point where he takes the Grimer from his prize cards first.
Yeah, exactly. And he won't need the Alolan Muck anytime soon.
There's also the kind of weird anti-synergy with the Weavile and the Muck if he doesn't actually want to use the Muck and the Weavile at the same time. So he's like, okay, right, here we can just take the KOs. That's fine. Later on we can set up. Oh, we can see Tricks the GX at some point as
90
well.
damage being exactly enough, with Stampede putting in work, and the Desert Field, of course, being able to increase this damage twice by 10 to hit exactly 110 in the end.
Yeah, this is one of those things where sometimes you'll see top players make plays that everyone else is like, why have you bothered? Like, this is not going to matter. But it's like, no.
Yeah,
6 turns down the line. This is a big deal.
This used to be something we saw with the Decidueye decks a lot, where one feather error was game deciding so often, and sometimes when a player forgot, it turned out to be 10 or 20 damage short.
Or like slightly misplacing it.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Really crazy to kind of have to think that far ahead occasionally. But Joshua now, no attacker, needs switch cards. If he does, it's very likely that Benji can fill the bench up quick enough to take the knockout.
However, luckily for him, Benji has neither an Absol nor an Alolan Muck, so his engine is allowed to run freely. He has 2 Jirachi on board, so I expect him to get a new Zapdos out because both Jirachis are just so good. He can use 2 of them, he can retreat them easily, switch them around. And yeah, he's probably looking for a Guzma. Getting knockout on this little Zorua on the bench there would be really nice.
Would you not be considering for the Sneasel here? Because, I mean, you know that he's going to try and trade through, but you don't know, like, if, with the Weavile gone, the Muck gone, it means that he has to use the Stretcher to shuffle, which is less efficient.
Yeah, but taking a knockout on the Sneasel here is very unnecessary, I think, because, like, the Zorua, it's really about keeping Zoroark from not getting to go, and with 1 Zorua and 1 Zoroark on board, it's an easy target.
Sure.
You should always pick those up to prevent your opponent from just setting up, because once he gets multiple Zoroarks, he will surely...
It really does snowball.
Yeah, he definitely won't run short of Sneasels. And he also has 2 unit energy on his Zoroark already, so he will have a hard time attacking with Weavile anyways.
Yeah. it's one of those decks where once they get a slight lead by having a couple of Zoroarks in play, they push so far ahead.
Exactly.
They can basically run away with a game before you even get back into it.
Once Zoroark gets in control of the situation, once he gets trading, then he can basically do anything he wants. And this is where the Zapdos deck starts to struggle, because it has only slight damage output, while Benjamin probably plays multiple Acerolas in his deck. And we also saw it Paul Pet because he accidentally dropped it earlier, so he's prepared to chain those Acerolas, he's prepared to heal those Zoroarks. So preventing his setup, targeting down the small guys is really what gives Joshua a shot in this match.
Yeah, it's as soon as you go into a two-hit knockout format, having access to Acerola and cards that can kind of abuse Acerola by going through multiple digs are extremely strong. So by being able to trade Acerola, trade again, and keep pushing through the deck, Benji can kind of always have all of his options available and basically stop Josh from ever taking a knockout.
And here we see a Guzma from Joshua. He's thinking about should he pick up the Zorua, should he pick up the Sneasel, and he goes for the Zorua. In my opinion, always the correct play.
Yeah, I think I really like that.
Yeah, he's a little afraid of the Sneasel because Weavile seems like the easiest to knock out the Zorua, the Zapdos.
Yeah.
Benjamin only has 3 Pokemon in play, so he will deal only 70 with the Zoroark, and the Weavile would take the one-shot, the knockout, thanks to the Devour field and goes to Jirachi. But
there's also the case that with the Buzzwole already on the bench, he's immediately threatening with it.
Yeah.
He's basically saying, look, if you take this prize card, I'm taking 2.
Yeah, the Buzzwole is certainly scary for Benjamin because Benji's going down to 2, he only has this one Zoroark, and he's playing a Judge, which is looking really grim for Benji.
Yeah.
He has his Ditto gone, he has already one Zoroark gone, he has only one Zoroark on board. He will see 6 cards this turn after the trade, but that's really not a lot, and he needs 2 more Pokemon to even take a knockout with the Zapdos. Maybe he honestly doesn't really want to.
I think he probably doesn't want to. I think he just hits into it and goes, well,
yeah,
I'll take the 2-shot
because at
this
this point,
turn.
if he takes a knockout, his Zoroark will get knocked out, and his board is very underdeveloped. I have no idea if you would even be able to deal with the Buzzwole afterwards, so maybe it would get multiple Sledgehammers. So if he doesn't get multiple Zoras this
fighting
turn...
Pokemon. So we see it first trade. I think I saw Sneasel.
Yeah. He really wants to see more Zoras, but
yeah, he's not finding them.
It's only a Rockruff for him. And yeah.
Doesn't look good. He does have
a Weavile, it looks like.
Yeah. But he doesn't want to use it. I don't think he wants to attack this turn either.
Yeah, actually, Weavile is not too bad if he would have a Kukui next turn to follow it up, but... Oh, and yeah, he's putting 90 damage on it.
Yep.
Yeah, not taking a knockout, but yeah, whiffing this last Pokemon isn't really that huge for him because the knockout would have been a pretty big...
okay, so it's actually a 1-1 Muck line, 2-2 Sneasel.
And here Benjamin is setting up this Tapu Lele, hoping that Joshua is not able to one-shot it so he can Acerola it back. But of course it's also a risky play. He doesn't really have any alternatives.
Nope.
But if Joshua is able to get multiple Electro Powers and Choice Band, which we've seen many times over the day, so it's certainly very likely, then he would probably be in a position to scoop up the game.
Yeah, I think at that point you go, look, I'm probably too far behind, the trade's not in my favour anyway, this has not gone well.
Exactly, at that point Joshua would be down to 2 prizes, being 3 prizes up and still having his Buzzwole, still having his Nihilego, and yes, just having all the resources he would need to close out the game. But yeah, he plays another Escape Rope, so no crazy knockout on Tapu Lele this turn, but hey, we might see a crazy knockout on a Zoroark. I mean, you never know.
I am enjoying these crazy turns of like, okay, I have everything.
Okay, this one would be certainly very crazy. He would be...
He'd have to have all of his Electro Powers and a band?
Yeah, or like 3 Electro Power Choice Band and a Shrine would do it as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, both seem very unlikely, but just chipping away at the Zoroark is just fine for him.
So we see him take a Volkner. A lot of the Zapdos players, including a couple of Volkner. He's actually Joshua's playing 4, the full 4 Volkner.
Oh, yeah. 4 Volkner in a Zapdos deck, and yeah, it's straight Zapdos. It's actually interesting. He plays a Lucario GX tech. So
that is going to be. I'm looking forward to Benji's reaction to when that hits the board.
Oh, and he actually doesn't play Nihilego. He plays Fighting Energies instead.
Okay.
So yeah, here we see a Riolo hit for Patch, and Benjamin's like, what is this? What is that guy doing in your deck? And yeah, of course, this card is very good against Zoroark decks, and it's also very good against Pikachu Zekrom GX. So yeah, it's just a very threatening Pokemon.
It's another way of being a Buzzwole. Buzzwole, you only get it for one turn.
Exactly.
This means you have multiple ways of doing this. Also, with access to like a very easy, okay, right, cool, knockout, let's go. It's actually a really fun kind of, right, okay, pressure is on. Like this way, he doesn't need to be on 4 prize cards.
But he doesn't have any switching card.
He did also commit the fighting energy, which means that he doesn't have it for the Buzzwole in hand.
He probably has another one, because Lucario only needs 1 energy, so if it would be his only one, there's no real point in attacking. He's probably just he's not attacking here. He could have picked up an escape board or switch with a Faulkner, but he's probably just saying, you know what, take a knockout, go ahead, I'll take you out with my Buzzwole, and this will probably be game. So he's just waiting, basically. And if Benji doesn't get the knockout, next turn he threatens to get a Lucario GX into play, taking a knockout this way, and
there's also
basically saying the same
interesting
thing.
way of dodging the Sledgehammer turn here for Benji. If he Guzmas at the Buzzwole, and then tricks the GXs, the Sledgehammer, with Devoured Field in play, he can deal with the Buzzwole this turn. So
that would be really funny.
That would be quite. Whether that's necessary, I don't know if that's a line he wants to take, but that would be a very interesting line of dealing with the Sledgehammer. I mean, he does also play into Sledgehammer if Joshua is able to go Rescue Stretcher, attach anyway, but at that point it doesn't really matter anymore, because if he can do that, he can probably also get to the Lucario, evolve, and also take the KO.
Yeah, exactly. Just having those 2 threats, the Lucario and the Buzzwole, on the board is really threatening for Benjamin, and it's really hurting him, especially since his setup wasn't that great. Also, having this Lucario tag being at 5-1 in a win and in situation is really testimony to not only how strong the Zapdos Jirachi combination is, but also how versatile.
Yeah.
We've seen it in the straight version, we've seen it in the Pikachu Zekrom, in the Jolteon version, we've seen it in Passimian today, and now we see it even with Lucario GX. So there's so many variations of the deck.
So when Zoroark was first released, and after the EUIC, basically Zoroark was going in every deck.
Oh, and also here's a card to note, which I mentioned earlier as Venanu. So Benjamin was able to discard his Tapu Lele for Zorua, and evolve with Zorua immediately into Zoroark. So this is a very strong combination. Usually it would allow you to put your Alolan Mug into play without having fear of like Guzmaring the pre-evolutions, because once you put it into play with Nanu, it counts as the old Pokemon. So it keeps the damage, keeps attached stuff, and it keeps the amount of turns in play. So exactly, you can evolve it immediately. But you can also use it to get rid of liabilities like Tapu Lele and turn them to Zoroark GX.
Yep.
So a very powerful card for Zoroark decks.
So we now see what's Benji's option for attacking this turn is this issue of, does he really feel the need to take a knockout without also playing around Sledgehammer, but really has to work it out.
Sledgehammer Lucario double threat is really shutting Benji down, leaving him with very little options.
So Joshua's turn.
I think he just passed.
Yeah.
Thinking that I can't allow you to activate this Sledgehammer, because if you use Sledgehammer, you get a knockout that way, go down to 2 prizes, and you still have Variolo to take your last 2 prizes.
He's got to deal with. I think it's going to be awkward because he has to deal with basically both of them.
Yeah, I think. What he wants to do is evolve all his little pre-evolutions and take a knockout with, like you mentioned, with Sledgehammer, with Zora copying Sledgehammer on the Buzzwole, so to make sure he doesn't use, he's not able to use the Sledgehammer.
Yeah, but it's not going to happen this turn either.
Alternatively, actually a knockout on the Riolo would be pretty fine as well, when he could follow up with a knockout on the Lycanroc.
Yep.
The deciding thing is that he really wants to get rid of like the small Pokemon to pick up, because once Joshua goes down to 2 prizes, he would probably try to use Zapdos and Guzma twice to pick up something easy.
And if they all have 200 HP, it becomes an awful lot harder. The Weavile is one option to take the knockout as well, because if he takes the knockout with the Weavile on the Buzzwole, he can't right now, or like on the Riolu, it means that, he plays into Sledgehammer, but it means Josh has to burn another Guzma.
Yeah, that would certainly help.
So it means that like he really has to find a way of avoiding playing into a really active a Sledgehammer turn from Joshua. So, Great Ball. A card that also didn't see a lot of play prior to, like, basically this season.
Yeah, but
there's a lot of cards that are kind of going, right, cool, look at the top X number of cards in your deck, take a thing you need.
Yes.
And they're all seeing a lot of play right now.
Yeah, you simply need to get going with Zoroark, so he plays as many ball cuts as he can to get like his Lily engine going and to get as many basics early on. It didn't work out quite well this turn, but he managed eventually to set up, and now he's getting a Lycanroc GX, which is good for him because he can use it to bring up Riolu. He can also make sure that his Rockruff won't get targeted down by a Zapdos, so he definitely wants to evolve it this turn.
It also means that he can tank his beat down at some stage.
And yeah, he's opting to retreat his Zoroark.
Yeah, I like that.
Take a knockout with
like
a Weaver. Certainly a smart play here, making it as hard for Joshua as possible.
But yeah, it now means that if Joshua wants to go for the option of attacking with the Buzzwole, he's taking a single prize, and it's Guzma's. Then he has to use a Guzma, which you may not want to do either.
Yes, and Benji has the Dangerous Rogue follow-up option, so he will get rid of it. He can get rid of it Buzzwole. He can also just Guzma something else. Take a knockout on it to get out of Sledgehammer range.
Yeah, he could also go for like a second Lycanroc, take out a Jirachi.
Or he can like use Kukui to get to 130.
There's a lot of options he has.
What's important is that he gets out of Sledgehammer range
as soon as physically possible.
Yes.
Like as soon as Benji gets another attack, he has to be taking a KO.
Yeah.
So that he
Benji
can
has been preparing this one turn for a couple of times. He passed last turn, and to make sure he gets the right board, he gets the knockout with Weavile, and he gets the knockout on something that's valuable. So he didn't want to take a knockout on something as Jirachi because what does it?
There's another one there, right?
It doesn't help his board at all. But getting rid of a Riolu is a big threat, and yeah, it helps him a lot.
It also means that then the stretches that he's playing, so that Joshua's playing.
Now Joshua's setting up a Jirachi, so I'm guessing he has a switch in hand.
That's
maybe he wants to. Or an escape board, so he either wants to use double Jirachi to dig for Guzma, or he wants to use escape board to retreat for free, keeping this other energy on the Jirachi in case he might need it later on.
Especially if I don't think Benji's playing the Absol, so it's not such a big deal, but it is going to be a tricky situation. Because we see the Volkner, one of the four.
We see another Volkner, so no Guzma for Joshua. So he will probably just take a knockout on this Weavile.
Yeah, so the Volkner is actually a really strong card in this because it means that you can get away with having slightly lower switch card counts, though he doesn't here. Yeah, he's playing as many as we've seen today in 3 escape rope, 3 switch, and 2 escape boards.
Yeah,
but it means he can always get one.
Plenty.
And that with the 4 Volkner means that you always attack with Zapdos turn 2.
Yeah, Volkner's a card. It's a pretty good kind of card. We've seen similar cards like Karen being very Corinna. I'm not sure what the English name is actually.
Corinna.
Okay, Corinna. Yeah, such as also fighting Pokemon and an item. And yeah, cards of that type that are able to pick 2 specific targets out of your deck are just very powerful because it gives you control over the cards you draw. You get the right card at the right time, and especially combined with Jirachi, so you can get like one piece of a crazy electro power combination and then pick up the rest you need with Faulkner.
Yeah.
Or you prepared for a turn, use Jirachi, use Van Faulkner and stuff like that. It just makes this crazy item combinations that much easier.
So escape rope sends up the Lycanroc because he's like, right, there's no way you're hitting 200 this turn, and I want to declare Dangerous Rogue or Core Slash next turn. So please be my guest.
But yeah, saying there's no way. Actually, we've witnessed.
We've seen it.
We've seen it all.
We've seen it. Yeah.
Triple Electro, but one thing to remember, he doesn't have a Jolteon GX in his deck, so that makes it that much harder.
Yeah, that's
for
true.
Triple Electro Power.
Yeah, Triple Electro Power, or at least one choice band. It's just the numbers are possible, but that doesn't mean they're easy.
Yeah, he needs like Triple Electro Power and choice band to hit to reach 200. So it's quite a lot asked, but certainly possible.
So I'm trying to see what his options were there. There's a Thunder Mountain I saw. That's not necessary at this point. I didn't see what else was in that pile for him to choose from. There's another Jirachi, can't take it. There's a Switch, I think.
Yep, Switch certainly helping him out because he has an energy to retreat, but of course it's Jirachi's sleep, so it can't retreat. Would need an escape board for that. And he's He's playing an Ultra Ball as well.
The Tapu Koko GX.
Oh yeah, Tapu Koko would be a huge option here.
Takes the 2 prizes and really leaves Benji with very little in terms of options for a response as well.
It's really hard to... he can, with a Choice Band or Professor Kukui, the Weavile would be able to take the knockout, because the Tapu Koko GX has an ability as well, and we see 2 Jirachi, so...
I don't know if you saw Benji's reaction to that, but as soon as he put the Tapu Koko down, Benji went 1, 2, 3, oops. I think it's a card that's very easy to forget about, because it just comes in, takes a knockout, then it's gone again. That's it.
But yeah, Benji's basically, I don't know if consciously or unconsciously, but he's certainly prepared for this, because he has the Weavile going, so he's able to get out of the Sledgehammer range, and this is really all he needs to. Also, going down to 2 prizes himself.
Yeah.
But of course it means that he is behind in the prize trade. So like, setting up this Lycanroc probably wasn't the best bet for him, because now Joshua's in the advantage. He will only need 2 more prizes, and he can pick those up on something like Zoroark and Rockruff, and the Weavile, of course.
Yeah.
So if Benji doesn't evolve both the Rockruff and the Zoroark, Joshua will probably be able to Guzma up one of them and then take his last prize on the Weavile.
Yep. Yeah. Oh god, it's got really tricky very suddenly for Benji, because he needs to hit Choice Band.
Yeah, he was in a very convenient situation, but all of a sudden it's looking way worse for him.
Well, as soon as Joshua benched that Riolu, it made the game a lot different from Benji's perspective. I'm going, okay, now I can't really go with Zoroark, because I have to find a different plan.
Yeah, Benji certainly has to process a lot of information here, because Joshua's list is so much different than what's he's used. These Zapdos decks, usually they play like 1 Faulkner, maybe 2. Usually a higher amount of Faulkner is only something we see in the Pikachu Zekrom variants, because they also have like Energy Switch, and they have more specific combinations to get these Pikachu Zekroms going. And these Zapdos decks usually don't need that much. We've seen a higher amount of Faulkner in Pedro's deck as well, but he's just a very big fan of the card. But yeah, Joshua taking it all the way to 4. And yeah, it worked out quite well for him. Kukui, so he doesn't need the Choice Band anymore, so he will get the knockout on the Tapu Koko. But yeah, again, he's behind in the trade.
Yep. And it's all well and good taking this prize, but all it means is that Joshua can then promote Attach Beast Energy, KO, and that means that Rockruff on the bench is looking very risky at the minute.
Yeah, also, it's interesting that the Desert Field from the beginning has sticked all the way. So Joshua only plays 1 Shrine of Punishments apparently, and 1 Thunder Mountain, so he doesn't have a lot of stadiums, and yeah, consequently he didn't replace it ever since Benji put it down turn 1, I think.
Yeah.
Turn 1 to deal 20 damage to Zoroark, right?
Yep.
So yeah, Benji taking the knockouts, going down to 2 prizes, and now it's on Joshua to find those final 2 knockouts. Benji didn't evolve the Rockruff, so he definitely wants to take a Guzma knockout on the Rockruff. He hasn't used that many Guzmas, so I'm sure he definitely has 2 Guzmas left. He also didn't use many Electro Powers, so he should have those left as well.
Yeah, he has quite a lot of options here, so he has the Guzma.
And yeah, here we see the Guzma.
Which means attach, take out the Guzma with the Zapdos. Basically, go right, 1 prize card left. You can take this knockout, but I'll find a way of getting a prize from the Weavile. Yes. Because the Weavile's the easiest thing on your side of the board to take the knockout on.
Exactly. So Joshua's playing this pretty well, knowing exactly what he needs to do. We see the Tapu Koko Prism.
That's actually really big, because it now means that he can attach the Beast Energy if he gets to it this turn.
It apparently looks like he doesn't even play the Beast Energy.
Okay.
He only plays Fighting Energy.
Well, that means he's actually going to struggle to take the knockout on the Weavile.
Yeah, he doesn't have another Zapdos here, otherwise it would have been very good for him. He could have just charged the energy there, have another attacker ready. This way he will have to hope to draw another Zapdos eventually.
So actually, if he finds a Fighting Energy, he can attach 2 Fighting Energy over the course of 2 turns. He hasn't used his attachment yet.
True.
He can actually swing around.
Yeah, that as well.
To take the last prize cards.
Yeah, so he could even take out a Zoroark this way. And he's using a switch, bringing out Jirachi, digging for more cards. Just to make sure that he gets everything he needs for his next turn. He needs stuff like Electro Power. He needs... Oh, here we have a Rescue Stretcher.
He could go for the Riolu.
Yeah.
Because the Lucario is still in deck.
Interestingly, he Oh, actually, I don't think there's a Zapdos in his discard pile, because this is the only Zapdos he used all game.
He's just been threatening.
Yeah, so he's just getting the Coco.
Yeah, okay, so the Coco is in hand, which basically says, look, now we definitely do this, because
and
he has to have the...
up the Tapu Lele, so he's maybe even... Oh, so he's even
he
going
has the
for
energy,
a win this turn.
Choice Band, or
accelerated
power.
to energy, yeah. So we'll see, he needs...
Fighting energy.
So another energy, and now he needs 2 damage modifiers, and yeah, he has the ball, and he goes.
And I think he even did the hand sign for the attack, I believe, from the games. I'm actually not too sure.
And yeah, Joshua's taking game 1 here over Benjamin Pham. And with 3 electro power, those crazy damage modifiers we've seen all weekend.
Is it only we've seen these things come down in 3s,
yes,
more than we have seen it come down in any other count, other than like the odd one occasionally to get a Lily to be better. Like when it's been relevant, it's always like I have all 3. Also, he had all 3 secret rare. Like he was just like I have all 3. Also, they're really
these
bling.
electro powers certainly are at its strongest when you use lots of them. And yeah, he would have even been able to knock out a Zoroark GX like this because he reached 220 damage.
Yeah, he was always taking KOs that turn, which is a really...
So he was like, yeah, I can knock out anything. This game, too easy. And yeah.
A crazy game of... As soon as... You could see the game change, because Benji started off kind of dictating the pace a little bit, and then as soon as it went Buzzwole and Riolu, it turned.
Yeah.
And that's the point.
Benjamin
it was a massive turn.
stumbled in the beginning. He only got out 1 Zoroark. He wasn't able to get off the Alolan Mark.
Yeah, sure.
If he had gotten more Zoroark into play, he probably could have used the Nano he used in the mid game for to get an Alolan Grimer and an Alolan Mug. The Alolan Grimer was priced as well, so a bit unfortunate for him. Otherwise, he would have gotten the lockdown on Joshua.
Yeah.
But also these Falkners, these Buzzwole, this Lucario make it a lot harder for him.
Yep. It's very difficult to disrupt things when they're actively targeting you.
Yes.
Which appears to be what, like, Joshua's going, okay, right, people are going to be targeting Zapdos. They're going to do it by playing Zoroark with these kinds of things. I'll just beat Zoroark, it's fine.
Yeah, it's okay. I have my Lucario, I have my Buzzwole, everything's good.
So, just getting ready to set up.
And we see the Alolan Grimer and the prizes again for Benji.
Prize cards are on the wrong side, but oh, you spotted it, it's fine. I don't think anyone's missed it today. That's very rare. Nobody people will go, oh yeah, they're over here. So we see a Zapdos. Nothing particularly important for
Benji opening and Zoroark
for Joshua
going first. Joshua having 2 Jirachi, so the optimal opener for him.
A double Nespel prize is going to give a slightly slow start.
Yeah, it depends. He can still find the other ones. He also has 2 Zoroark in play already. He's playing another ball here, yeah. Otherwise he would have shuffled already, throwing away Choice Band. Doesn't need those too many. And Venanu. So this cut might be big, but Benji's deciding that he doesn't need it right now. And yeah, he just needs to get rid of it. Draw more cards, go for more cards.
On that first search, he's going to be going, okay, right, my Alolan Muckline, where is it? I want it now. There's double Jirachi. If I can stop double Jirachi, I get huge value from my Alolan Muck.
And yeah, we see him go for the Ditto Prism again, hoping that Joshua can't repeat what he did in the first game, getting the Zapdos, the energy, and the Guzma.
He literally just plays with 1 Volkner, and you can almost guarantee he takes one of the Zero out and takes a DCE off the board, or takes out the Ditto if he can get to a Guzma. Like, it seems very unlikely that Joshua can't hit turn 1 Zapdos.
Yeah, but if he only takes out the Zoroark, that's fine for Benji as long as he can get a Zoroark and the Alolan Mug. Because all he really needs is this Alolan Mug, and it's just so devastating for Joshua. We've seen him use these Tapu Koko GX in the end to draw 4 prizes consecutively. So it was really a huge card for him, and if he couldn't have used that ability, nothing of that would have happened, and Benji would have just taken the game.
It is a huge factor for both
putting
players.
down the Ditto turn 1 before Joshua has seen a lot of cards just to maximize the odds of getting this Alolan Mug out. And yeah, he won't be able to put the Grimer and the Ditto down at the same time because the Grimer's priced again. So yeah, this is really his best bet to get this Mug going. Also, yeah, he got another Zoroark.
His start's a lot better this time because last time he only managed to get to 1 Zoroark quickly. Now I've got all of them. I've got 3. That's probably enough to draw some cards.
And yeah, here we see the strength of the Lily engine. Sometimes, like we saw in game 1, you're stumbling, it doesn't work out too well, but when it works, oh boy, it works well.
Yeah, because now you're basically a lot of players are left with the choice of do we use the Elm or the Lily engine, and
yeah, many players are deciding that they can't really afford to go for Tapu Lele,
Yeah.
such a supporter that often, so they want to have more outs, having 4 Lily and additional a few Cynthias, getting his setup even if he doesn't get an Elm turn 1, having more, and yeah, just getting out all these Pokemon as quickly as possible. So yeah, and not putting down Tapu Lele to not be vulnerable to stuff like this Zapdos deck that often puts down Shrine of Punishment and then takes up Tapu Lele for easy prizes in the later game.
Yeah, so straight away we see a sleep, nap time for Jirachi so he can make a Stellar Wish.
And a Nest Ball.
And
first things first.
It's
probably not going for Jirachi.
It might be the
time,
first
yes.
time an Nest Ball has not been for Jirachi on a turn 1 for a while.
But yeah, he has plenty of balls already, so going for his attack.
I've just noticed that his list appears to be all full arts and secret rare as well.
Yeah, someone appears to have money left. And yeah, the Nest Ball is actually a regular art. So he doesn't have the all in gold.
That's a shame.
Gotta spare some money for food. Sometimes you have to spare some money for food or other things.
But
so the normal ones do. And we see the Guzma on the Ditto.
He has the lightning.
I don't think I ever saw Ditto survive the first turn.
Poor Ditto. I mean, it was almost a blessing. Like it was a huge blessing for Zoroark decks because it was basically right. It's a Zoroark, it's a Lycanroc, it's whatever you need it to be. But then people were like, no, it's not. It's in the discard pile.
Yeah.
In the Losso is what it is. It's a prize for me. Thanks.
And yeah, here we see Benji already having 2 Zoroark, so yeah, pretty nice start for him. Unfortunately, the Ditto is gone, the Grimer is priced, the Nanu is gone, so it looks like another game without a Alolan Mug.
I think he's very reliant on having that element of disruption in this matchup.
Yeah, it's really huge, because Joshua has been using this Jirachi so much, like every turn. Sometimes he even left it active being like, I don't need to take prizes, I'm ahead. I got this, I have Bastola, I have Riolo, I'm just sitting here using Jirachi to build up my hand to make sure I have everything I need in the late game.
Yeah, well, I think that's actually a thing that we need to try and, like, a lot of top players hand track to an extent. Of like, you can work out what your opponent has by how they're playing, but with Jirachi having to reveal, it's not even hand tracking, they literally show you. So you have to go, okay, right, how many Electro Powers have they taken?
Yes.
And if you can't make them get rid of them, you actually can play with that information in mind. Especially because, the Jirachis, like Zoroark, they wind up with huge hands that they've just built up over several turns.
Exactly. But we see the judge's prize for Benji, so he won't be able to disrupt Joshua. He also, without the Alolan Mug, the Zapdos deck becomes pretty unpredictable. Even if he only has a few cards in his hand, and he's thinking like, oh, he's not getting a knockout, I'm safe, he can use like Lily, Jirachi, Switch, Jirachi, Retreat, and suddenly there's a knockout with a Zapdos and 3 Electro Powers and a Choice Band. And a Shrine of Punishments.
Yeah, he has access to basically everything.
And yeah, but Benji having a really good setup here, getting 3 Zoroarks out on his second turn, also having Zorua and a Rockruff and another basic, so he will be able to take a knockout on the Zapdos. And having everything he needs except the card that's in his prize.
But it will be the first prize card he takes, if he takes it in the order that they're laid out, which means that, okay, he doesn't have access to it now, but he might be able to get to it fairly early. Last time it was a very late prize anyway, so he would have had to have worked quite hard.
And
see which prize card he takes first.
He took a DCE, I think.
DCE, okay, yeah, so the prize
is... the Grimer will be his last prize, I think. So that's very unfortunate for him. And we are almost certain to see no Mug in this game. It will just be Zoroarks. But if Benji's able to evolve all his Zoroarks and just use Acerola to go to loop them, to heal them...
He can basically deny the knockouts basically indefinitely. With the 2 Acerola and the copy of Palpad, he can basically just go, right, the damage is never sticking.
Yeah, also Benji's putting up a lot of aggression already, having these Zoroarks turn to getting a knockout immediately and making Joshua, putting him really under pressure, making him sure he has to respond. But again, he doesn't have an energy on a Rockruff, so he probably won't be able to attack with Lycanroc next turn, which means that if Joshua has another Guzma, take out 1 small prize, go down to 4, then Benji will knock out the Zapdos, go down to 4 as well, activating the Sledgehammer.
Yeah. So this is the thing, is like this turn you really want to see something along the lines of get the Buzzwole and the Riolu down again, because he did the same thing at this point in the last game, and then it kind of forces Benji to go, right, you can't take out the knockout on something.
He
you
doesn't
have to do it
put it
carefully.
down. As long as he gets like a Guzma and a knockout this turn,
Yeah.
Benji will have no option but to go down to 4, except if he wants to pass, because he has no energy on the Rockruff. He has no Sneasel, so he won't be able to use Weaver. His only attacker being Zoroark, so he will have to attack with Zoroark or pass. And then Joshua can use something like Cynthia or Lily to build up a hand again, use Jirachi to see a lot of cards and get the Buzzwole then.
Yeah, it does look very difficult to kind of play around all of these possible options on both sides, because...
Yeah, those fighting texts...
Yeah, playing
really
multiple,
put Benji in a tricky spot.
Yeah, playing multiple fighting techs makes the matchup a lot harder for the Zoroark side. Joshua, making a very sensible meta call, I think, in that he knows that by and large Zoroark is very popular in Europe.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
taking out your matchup...
Exactly, it was in the finals.
Yep.
It almost took Internationals Melbourne, so he was like, okay, I'm gonna prepare for that matchup. I'm not gonna struggle against it. I mean, it was a fairly close match anyways, but in the end he took a convincing win in game 1, and he's looking to be in a solid position game 2, but yeah, no Guzma for him. So that's a good thing for Benji, so he will probably not get a knockout this turn. So Benji will be able to ace the roller his Zoroark if he wants to. With 3 Zoroark on board, he will most likely have.
He's managed to pull off the same turn as he did last time. I'm going,
yes,
right, you're already going to 4 prize, and I definitely respond.
Yeah, this double threat up again. Benji being under pressure to get an energy on Rockruff, get a Guzma or Lycanroc to pull up the Riolu here.
Yeah, well...
But yeah, if he wants to get an energy on the Rockruff, he can't get an energy on an Ace Roller.
Yeah,
also,
he can also counter gain as well, so there are other ways that he can kind of bring the Rockruff online.
Oh, also, Joshua didn't attack here, so...
Yeah, it's fine. There's very little...
So yeah, Benji probably just wants to take a knockout on the Riolu again.
Yep.
Except that one of his Zoroarks is getting knocked out. But he then can take a knockout.
If he can hit the Devoured Field, he could even consider going for the Buzzwole this turn. But I think you can take the Riolu, because the Riolu is the one that's harder to deal with overall.
Yes.
You know, the Riolu is in a position to take 4 prize cards if you don't deal with it before it evolves.
And if he attaches another energy to the Riolu, like if he attaches multiple energies, he's threatening so much more.
Yeah, it becomes Cantankerous Beatdown, which takes another KO guaranteed. And
because once the Lucario's evolved, you can attach more energies to it, and it's way harder to take a knockout on it than on a Buzzwole that has multiple energies.
So, a lot of options for both players. Oh, okay, the Lycanroc. So which means that he must have access to the Devoured Field or the Kukui. There is the Devoured Field. It's never surprising when you're playing against Zoroark that it has everything, because they draw so much deck.
Now we see him thinking about, should I attach the energy, should I not? Thinking, oh, maybe if he gets Tapu Koko Prism Star and Tapu Koko GX again, also Choice Band and the Electric Power will do.
He has to have a...
For a knockout.
Oh, I don't know. Does he have the counter gain in hand? I think it's correct to attach, because...
Yeah, he's fine with it. He just wants to have some follow-up.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's taking a knockout on the Buzzwole, making it harder for Joshua to get the knockout, because of course for the Buzzwole he only needs an energy. For the Lucario he needs the Lucario, which is a one-off. Might even be priced as far as Benji knows.
Yep.
He needs one of his energies, which are pretty limited as well.
Well, it also means that actually between something like a Kukui or a Choice Band, he can actually reach 210 easier. So Joshua is likely to have to bench something this turn. Like, you know, he has a lot of options. He can go for he can stretch it back to Buzzwole. He can go try and get another Zapdos out. If he goes for the Tapu Koko. So he basically says now Joshua can't bench anything. Otherwise, Dangerous Rogue responds on the Lucario and puts Benji down to 2 prize cards and way ahead in the race. So
also not getting the Guzma or an attack last turn for Joshua is a huge deal, because now he's at 5 prizes. Benji is up in the prize race, having lots of threats on his board. And yeah, Joshua still needs to knock out like 2 Zoroark and something else, some easy non-GX knockout. So he will have a hard time taking that many knockouts. It looks like, he might just go for Guzma on like the Rockruff, hoping that Benji whiffs a Guzma. But optimally for him, he probably wants to attack with a Lucario, just to make sure that Benji doesn't. Just to make sure Benji doesn't knock out the pre-evolution. Also, if he gets a Rescue Stretcher, of course, he
can just Sledgehammer instead.
Yeah, he's playing 2 Rescue Stretchers, so he can. So it's not too far-fetched for him to draw into one.
So,
but he's attacking. Oh, I don't see a supporter in this hand. He
has an Electro Power, but that's no good.
Yeah, he doesn't
really
have
a switch either, I don't think.
Him. So this looks like a rough hand.
Okay, he has the...
And with only 7 minutes roughly left on the clock, we might actually... we might see a 1-0 victory, or maybe even a...
We're calling for a judge. I think there's a ruling about an Erica.
Yeah. I don't know what exactly is confusion about it.
Is it that he already has as many cards in hand?
Yeah, but I mean it says explicitly that you have to have 5 cards, less than 5 cards counting the Erica. No, not more than 5 cards counting the Erica as well. So 4 cards in hand plus Erica.
It might also be just a translation. Maybe Benji doesn't know the exact wording, and it might be in a different language. It's always a possibility.
So yeah, they're asking a judge, and then he's like, okay, oh, it appears that Joshua's maybe made a mistake, not being sure about the card. Wanting to play it with 6 cards in hand total.
Always interesting when there are judge calls, especially... no, seriously, what does it say?
Now we see the judge reading the card, then Joshua reading the card, then Benjamin reading the card,
could you
then
imagine
the card going back to the judge.
Could you imagine if it was a Charizard? The amount of reading that would be going on at this table going, that is a thing.
Yeah, we have lots of reading going on here. And it looks like
Are they content with it?
Looks like he's going to play it. And maybe we will see the head judge to read it again. But no.
Benji's like, I don't care.
No, Benji's fine, okay.
I think Benji's a case of like, I don't want it to take too much time off the clock, because the longer this takes to appeal the ruling,
they
whatever.
Probably are getting time extension of at least like a minute or something, just a little bit. Because this might very well end in a tie, in a 1-0 victory for Joshua. Because there's very little time left. Benji still needs to take 4 prizes, and most will probably be non-X prizes. But yeah, even after time, he still has 2 turns to take 2 prizes. So he only needs to take 2 more prizes to make sure this game ends.
So, Ultra Ball. We're going to have an update, I think, on the judge call.
And yeah, he's played an Erica, now he's playing an Ultra Ball. So he also has the skateboard on his Jirachi already, so he will be able to get his Lucario.
Okay,
and we are getting 1 minute time extension.
As we, it wasn't a very long pause, but we need to know what was happening. Be interesting to know what that ruling was about. I guess it was about how many cards in hand for Erica. And now the time is back up to date. So the timer is correct for us. So when this hits 0, it is actually time. There's no one having to keep extra time for us. So we see the Lucario.
Yes.
With an energy. It evolved.
It evolved this turn, so he gets a knockout on the Zoroark. Goes down to 3 prizes. He also didn't bench anything. So he's more or less safe from dangerous. Well, you're never safe with dangerous. With Kukui and
Choice Band
and Diane Seed would still hit 200.
No, Benji's not playing the Diancie, so that's not so much of a risk.
Okay.
It would just be a straight up. You can only hit 200 this turn. Playing around the dangerous row quite nicely by Joshua. Whether it was a case of out of necessity or because he wanted to play around it is always an interesting thing.
No, Benji's in an interesting spot.
Where does he attack?
Because
he can't hit the active.
Yeah, he can't really hit the Lucario. So Joshua can attach multiple energies to the Lucario, and then it's starting to get a really big threat.
Yep. Takes out a Jirachi. Just like, right, go away.
Down to 3. But yeah, if Joshua just sends up like the Lucario now...
Go Jirachi, attach to the Lucario...
Yeah, he could just send up a Lucario attack with Aura Strike again, deal like 60 damage.
Well, actually, no, so he's actually on odd prizes, so what he wants to do here is he wants to attach Guzma the Zorua, take the KO,
yeah, that's great for
even
him.
prizes, and makes it so much easier for him to win.
But yeah, that's certainly best for him. But otherwise, he would still be in a decent spot. But yeah, taking out the knockout on the Zoroark here is a huge thing for him. Just to make sure with this easy prize that he gets this easy prize off his to-do list.
Well, it's something that we see is we talk about the prize trade, but it's all about going from odd to even prizes and forcing your opponent onto an odd prize, because it means that they have to take a single prize or too many prizes, and it makes it really difficult when it becomes uneven. So takes from the Jirachi. I didn't see what he took. We'll see.
Probably a trainer card. But yeah, what's important for him is to get an energy. That's the most important part.
Well, even if it's a lightning energy, it's actually okay here because it still threatens.
He just needs any energy. Also, he didn't use the Tapu Koko Prism yet, so he can get that as well to accelerate an energy. So he might even be able to attack with the second attack of Lucario this turn already.
Guzma.
But yeah, here we see the Guzma.
There it is.
And yeah,
okay, Guzma the Zapdos, sure. That's also fine because it means that there's basically Benji can't take the KO on the bench. If he can get the attachment this turn, and he does, he just needs one fighting energy to win the game.
Yes. This is certainly looking rough for Benji.
Well, he needs energy and a way of getting to his Zoroark.
And it might even have been better for him to just attack the Lucario last turn, being like,
yeah.
well, you can take a knockout with your GX attack, but afterwards I will evolve my Zoroark. I will evolve all my. You will have to attack with the Lucario GX attack. You can't take my Zoroark. I will evolve it, so I only have big GX on my board, and then I will Ace Roller everyone away, so you don't have anything to take for your last prize. Yeah,
it's always
certainly was an option, but
really weird, like damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of situation.
And now Joshua's attacking with the Aura Strike.
Well, I like this as well because it means that he actually wants this Lucario to get hit. He's actually quite happy for it to get hit, and if he goes on the bench, he can then Guzma, keep it back into the active, and he's fine.
Exactly.
So he has a lot of outs here.
So yeah, this Lucario really swinging the matchup into Joshua's favor.
Very unexpected tech as well, because you could see Benji's reaction going, huh?
I mean, we've seen other Zapdos builds play the Nihilego, which could have come in huge as well, because Benji would go down to 4. He could use Dangerous Orb.
So, time for the standard round being called now, but
yeah, we
have a few seconds left because of the extension.
And yeah, Luya will make sure to tell the players in time when they are in turn 0.
So, Judge.
And Benji using the Judge.
That's huge because he knows that Josh needs fighting plus something.
Yeah, but I mean, Benji still can't do much because he can't just attack the Lucario.
No, that's true.
Because it will just use the Cantankerous Beatdown GX to get the knockout. So yeah, all he can do here is basically I don't think he plays weakness policy.
Nope.
Even if he did, he would deal 100 damage, and so the Lucario's GX attack would deal 300 damage anyways. So it doesn't even matter if he gets weakness policy. There's really not much he can do here.
Trade. Trade.
It is time here.
What is he looking for?
So Benji will be turn 0. Meaning that he will have, after this turn, he will have 1 more turn, and Joshua will have 2 more turns, so plenty of time to close out this game.
Ram.
And he's just using Ram for 30.
Because it's now not a full KO. So he wants to switch Guzma with access to the Jirachi. Joshua is now turn 1.
On the other hand, if Joshua has a Choice Band and a Guzma, this means the game for him.
Yeah. It does mean that he needs a bit more.
Yes.
But Benji does also need to find a way of winning this game to force a tie, and a tie actually isn't good enough for either player right now. To make cut, I think it's going to be a clean cut at 19. There may be some people bubbling at 18.
There might be some people at 18, but yeah, for these guys, they have to get to 19, otherwise they are out.
Yeah.
So yeah, Benji can close out this game next turn with a Kukui and Choice Band and the Devoured Field to deal 180.
But he does need a lot.
So Joshua maybe can get the Guzma and Choice Band, otherwise he could retreat his Lucario, but no, he's just taking a knockout here. And it's a tie. No, it's a 1-0 victory for Joshua, apparently.
Waving the Lucario going, best boy. This is MVP of the matchup. Did work in that game. But I think Benji's like, nah, I can't take the win. Let's just call it there.
Well, yeah, we've seen very interesting variations of the Zapdos deck over the weekend. We've seen a fighting focus version to probably counter the Zoroark variants that were counter to Zapdos originally.
It kind of gets into a never-ending cycle of it's a counter to a counter to a counter, and at some point we're like, okay, guys, we're playing the wrong deck. So it's very interesting to see that by just including the Lucario line that was included in Zoroark to beat the Pika ROMs last week, as they go, now we can do it again.
Yeah, now we're just putting it into the Zapdos deck to counter the Zoroark again.
They just have space.
Yeah, this deck is just so versatile. And maybe we can get our winner.
I don't think we do. I think it's quite late, so we'll probably think we're going to wrap up here for the evening.
Just wrap up it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We will have lots of more action coming up tomorrow.
Top 32 and top cut.
5 more rounds plus top cut. So come back tomorrow. I hope to see you then.
See you soon.